He knew the virus was deadlier than the flu, saying privately it goes through the air, that the virus was like the flu. It was in March the president talks about the toll with Woodward, not just on older Americans, but revealing it's, quote, young people too, plenty of young people. During the interviews, President Trump admits to intentionally misleading the American public because he didn't want to cause a panic. Tonight, how the president is now explaining those comments, how different they were in public versus private, and his opponent, Joe Biden's response too. ABC's chief White House correspondent Jonathan Karl leading us off.
It's all on tape. President Trump bluntly acknowledging to Bob Woodward he fully understood the deadly threat posed by coronavirus and that he was misleading the American public about it. In his book Rage, Woodward writes that National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien told President Trump on January 28th that coronavirus, quote, will be the biggest national security threat you face in your presidency. 10 days later, Woodward interviewed the president, and they spoke about the virus. Here's an excerpt from the audio tape obtained by CNN.
You just breathe the air, and that's how it's passed. And so that's a very tricky one. That's a very delicate one. It's also more deadly than your strenuous flus. This is more deadly. This is 5 per. This is 5% versus 1% and less than 1%. So this is deadly stuff.
But just 3 weeks after that, the president told the American people coronavirus is like the flu, directly contradicting what he told Woodward.
This is a flu. This is like a flu. Within a couple of days, it's going to be down to close to zero. That's a pretty good job we've done.
You may ask about the coronavirus, which is very well under control in our country.
In another interview in March, the president candidly acknowledged to Woodward he wasn't being upfront with the American people.
Now it's turning out it's not just old people, Bob, which is today and yesterday. Some startling facts came out. It's not just older
exactly.
young people, to plenty of young people.
It's clear just from what's on the public record that you went through a pivot on this to, oh my God, the gravity is almost inexplicable and unexplainable.
Well, I think, Bob, really, to be honest with you,
sure, I want you to.
I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down.
Yes,
because I don't want to create a panic.
And the very next week, the president said this.
America will again and soon be open for business, very soon, a lot sooner than 3 or 4 months that somebody was suggesting, a lot sooner. We cannot let the cure be worse than the problem itself.
The president today was asked directly if he was misleading the public in order to prevent a panic, and he acknowledged again he had been.
Well, I think if you said in order to reduce panic, perhaps that's so. The fact is, I'm a cheerleader for this country. I love our country.
Campaigning in Michigan today, Joe Biden, who has made the president's handling of coronavirus a centerpiece of his campaign, called the president's comments to Woodward a disgrace.
He knew and purposely played it down. Worse, he lied to the American people. He knowingly and willingly lied about the threat it posed to the country for months. He knew how dangerous it was. And while this deadly disease ripped through our nation, he failed to do his job on purpose. It was a life and death betrayal of the American people.
And so let's bring in John Karl with us tonight. And John, the White House was pressed on this today, really on a question that many folks at home are likely